We can go across, bring in rather, France 24's international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, let's talk about this group chat on Signal, because one of the things that was discussed was plans to target Houthi rebels in Yemen. We had the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, who weighed in talking about Europeans who would be freeloading, essentially. How is this all being received in Europe?
Yeah, it was pretty blunt stuff. I don't know if we have the tweets up to show them. J.D. Vance saying, I just hate bailing out the Europeans. And Pete Hegseth, Defence Secretary, saying, I share your loathing for European freeloading. It's, on one level, let's be clear, diplomats, politicians are used to much more expletive-riddled stuff on their own WhatsApps, even about their own colleagues. So it's not that brutal. But on another level, it really is unvarnished contempt for Europe, and that is really going to hit a nerve. And this, again, on top of, we already had J.D. Vance, who was emerging as a very influential member of the Trump administration, and not just the normal vice president who sits on the side and does very little. We had him in Munich berating the Europeans and saying that there was no longer any free speech in Europe. We have Musk, who regularly intervened with Keir Starmer, saying that Keir Starmer had shuttered free speech in Britain as well. At the weekend, we had Steve Witkoff again saying on a podcast in the US that Europe was dysfunctional. And it's this unvarnished, undisguised contempt, dismissal of Europe, which will really hit a nerve, I think. And, so far we've had little reaction from European leaders on that. But it's quite a surprise to see quite the level of it. And it's different to Trump. Trump is much more, talks about the transactional matters, the free trade, that you're not paying up in NATO. Vance and some of the others appear to have a much more ideological dislike of Europe, a dismissal of Europe, and a feeling that it's just lost its way, it's too liberal, it's too old, it's to be forgotten about.
Because as we actually do have breaking news coming in, where the White House has announced that the U.S. Will start lifting sanctions on Russian agriculture. This is huge, isn't it? Because we also have progress being made reportedly on a ceasefire in the Black Sea, as well as on energy infrastructure in both Ukraine and Russia. This, of course, is being done without the Europeans at the table. Up until now, the Trump team has been calling on Europe to do more to ensure its security. Now we have talk of this coalition of the willing, and then the Americans are like, actually, no.
Yeah, it's, Europe is really on the back foot. It is impossible to keep up with this. Its own diplomats, its own ambassadors cannot keep up with this. It is hard to fathom any sort of pattern in this administration's behaviour on the world stage. They love Russia. We all know that now. Ukraine is to be fobbed off in all likelihood, as much as it can be. In terms of where it leaves Europe, the idea was for Europe to say, it's going to take us 10 years, we need to invest, we need to manufacture our own stuff, but we will stand on our own 2 feet. Here's a way where NATO can stay, but we will be a much stronger pillar and the United States can just stay in it. That was actually a plan to present to the Trump administration. Then on Friday, we hear Witkoff saying it's posturing and pose, they don't know what they're doing. The utter dismissal. It also leaves politicians in Europe in a mess. Keir Starmer has invited Donald Trump for a state visit. This is not going to go down well, this sort of comment about pathetic Europeans in Britain. And there is already considerable resistance to the idea of Trump coming. The French are slightly better positioned. The French have had big fights with Washington before. Remember Iraq, and the French stood their ground, and most people might agree, I think, that history proved them right.
Remember
the French are more
AUKUS.
used to this.
Yeah, exactly. AUKUS was not too long ago under Biden.
Exactly. But no politician, because there is only one presidency in the United States, it's Donald Trump. All politicians, all Europeans have to find a way of dealing with him. There is no other choice. But they will not enter into this fray as far as possible, but take the message that this administration in the US, and possibly the next one if it's J.D. Vance, doesn't have a lot of time for Europe.